how he took the name Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. How the hell did he keep that, man? That was a government thing, because they had a charter with the government. How in the hell did you get the charter, man? That's how we know that you sold out, man.
Oh, well, look, we can go a little further back in time. You got something reading? I'm going to tell, being that we're getting on your hunter, we can go a little further back in time to 93, 94, to Lahab. When Lahab, the regime, the Lahab regime, you was down with Lahab, nigga. You were down with the Central Command. You were down with trying to overthrow the school, Marshall and Ariyah, okay? And then when Lahab and them guys got exposed, you jumped ship, then you came back with Mo and Ariyah. So you was down with them, and Yohana, you was never right.
Yeshaya did that. They were all down with Lahab until Lahab and Yahshua and them got exposed. Then all of a sudden they snuck back and they turned against, well, there's an old saying, there's no honor among thieves. You guys were a bunch of damn thieves, man, you know? You guys were reservoir dogs, man. That's why you were down with Lahab, and then you turned your back on Lahab, and then you got back with the main school. But then when the big split took place, you called yourself staying with One West, but then you just disappeared, and all of a sudden you popped out of nowhere. For the time that you fell off, you grew dreadlocks, man. And you were doing accounting work, because I ran into you a couple of damn times. But now, all of a sudden, you're General Yohana talking about we all got to put away our petty differences and come together. That's called, there's a show that George Gordon did called The Groupies, and it's based upon this book, and he used an example when the people that was against Fidel Castro in Florida, they had set up an organization to bring all those people that was against Castro, and they brought them over to Cuba, to take down Castro, and the U.S. was behind that. And they said they had boxes. One box had certain rounds, 50 caliber rounds in one box. They had something else in another box. They had another box with food in it. And when they opened up the boxes, they were the wrong boxes. The names were different. So when they went to use the 50 caliber shells, there was a different caliber bullet in there, so they couldn't use that because it couldn't fit in that gun, that missile launcher or whatever. When they went to go get something to eat, there was grenades in there, so they couldn't eat. And then they pinpointed exactly where they were, and they killed them. So that's that whole thing of the groupies. So basically, General Yohana is nothing more than a Judas goat. That's why he's saying, put away your differences and let's all come together. So the Illuminati can know exactly who's who, because he got them. See, now we're scattered. The Most High got us scattered, man. You know?
Yeah, that's right, man.
And you're going to get that scripture in a minute.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 11. And
so we can see through you, nigga. When you brought out that nonsense about the chip, the mark of the beast not being the chip, we knew that you sold out, man.
Ezekiel 11:16, therefore say, thus saith the Lord power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
Yeah, so there ain't going to be no one thing where we all meet. There's 5,000 of us and we all meet in one place. All you got to do is drop a bomb on you and kill all your asses, man.
Even in the military, when they're going on missions, when they're walking over an open field, they go like 2 or 3 at a time. They don't go everybody at one time, because if you go all at one time, they take you all out. Even Esau knows that.
Oh, go ahead. Bring that out on me.
This is 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 1. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But
so those guys that we're getting on are basically part of the house of Saul. And we're part of the house of David. Go ahead.
But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker.
And if you notice, there's a cut to prove that you are the house of Saul. You ain't really pushing nothing, man. Now you go to GMS, we're all over the country through the spirit and the power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, and throughout the planet. Even Ali Allah said GMS is going global. That's what he said. That's what the nigga said. Yeah, Fred Sanford. Yep, that's well. You know who called him Fred Sanford? You know, Killer Priest, Carl Meyer. He used to say that was back in the '90s, man. He said that's Fred Sanford, man.
Now they're running together. This is Amos 9 and 10, or 9 and 11. In that day.
That dude was funny as hell, Carl Meyer.
Yeah, Carl Meyer was funny.
Yeah, this backs up what the brother just read in 2 Samuel 3 and 1. It says Amos 9 and 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will. Oh, all right. Amos 9:11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. Now notice it didn't say the tabernacle of Saul. It said the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Now in 2 Samuel 3 and 1, that was the days of old. Now what was going down during the days of old? You had the...
Oh, we were kicking ass and taking numbers, man.
That's right.
You know?
And you also had the house of Saul waxing or waning weak, and you had the house of David waxing strong. That was going on in the days of old. So this is I'll read it again. It says this is happening again. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. Is not the Lord doing that now? Yep. The differences between the tribes, that's the breaches. Yeah. Close up the breaches thereof.
If I may say this
yep.
real quick. Yep. Now, back in the days, I had ran across this, you know, when I was in the world before I came, you know, the Lord brought me into the truth. I ran across this Mexican dude. Back then I didn't know he was Issachar. And, you know, we were kind of cool. You know, we used to cook together. And I asked him, I said, you you ever heard that the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans don't like each other? He said, yeah. I said, that's bullshit, right? He said, yeah, because all it is, that's Esau pushing that shit. But what the Lord is doing, he's taking those differences away from the tribes and bringing the tribes back together under their nationality.
That's right.
Hey, well,
Somebody get hold on deck, Psalms, the 2nd chapter.
Well, when you look at the different camps throughout the states, you got brothers from different tribes coming back now. See, back in the old days in One West, it was predominantly Judah, Benjamin. You had a lot of Benjamin, and Lahab was pushing that. Predominantly Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and Ephraim was kind of creeping in there. But you had niggas like Lahab that had a problem, and he wasn't even Judah. But you had niggas like Lahab that had a problem with Ephraim. Like when I first came in, there was this other nigga, this snake-looking nigga named Amos, that so-called taught me the truth, and he told me a straight-up lie. He said, look, he said the 12 tribes, the Puerto Ricans, but all the light-skinned Puerto Ricans, they're Spaniards. The real Puerto Ricans are dark-skinned. That was a lie, man.
That was a sentiment at the
Well, then wait a minute. What was Hosea about? So he just showed that the Bible was wrong because it says Ephraim is a cake not turned. So what the hell is this black and this dude look? What you mean snake looking? He was a snake, man. He was a black ugly snake, man.
But you know what? To show you that it's the spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Barakatah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That nigga said that shit. But I knew it was bullshit. I took the right stuff out of it, but the bull, because look, I came up with Ephraim. I came up with so-called Puerto Ricans, and I said, yo, man, when he told me that shit, I said, that's bullshit. Because then I started thinking about all the Puerto Ricans I knew in the world. I said, man, them dudes ain't no crackers, man. I said, get the fuck out in my mind. But I mean, I said, hey, that dude, man, he's what it is. A lot of niggas, when they was in the world, they had that, you know, them old tribal beefs. So when they came into so-called they brought that shit. Yeah, but them niggas, when they came into the Israel, they brought that shit with them.
They brought that back.
And they pushed it out as gospel, and it wasn't in the scriptures. That's what to say that.
Yeah, Isaiah 10 and around about the 12th verse.
And then it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that during the 60s and the 70s, you had these militant groups. The militant groups, right? You had Jake, which was the Black Panthers, the Blackstone Rangers, and then Ephraim. He had the Young Lords, you know, and you had other so-called Puerto Rican groups that were Ephraimites that were fighting and trying to bring Ephraim back together. So it wasn't a coincidence that you had Jake and Ephraim coming back together back then.
And the Latin Kings, I'm gonna say something about the Latin Kings. When the Latin Kings started out, they started out as an organization to so-called help Puerto Ricans, and they was down with the Panthers and all that, man.
Go ahead, brother.
And also at the Metropolitan, the Museum of Art, they have portraits of the Egyptian wars, and on them you can see is light-skinned Hebrew slaves as well as dark-skinned.
Yeah, because you had Ephraim and you had Gad and you had Judah. All right, you got the scripture.
This is Isaiah 11:13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim, but they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines.
These are the other nations. They're gonna come together, and when they come together, somebody hold on deck. Obadiah, 18th verse. You know, go ahead.
But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west.
So when they come together, they're gonna jump on the other nations. It didn't say they're going to fly on some of the Philistines, because some of them Philistines are going to be saved. It don't say that. If the Most High wanted that to happen, wouldn't it say that? Go ahead.
It says, they shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab and the children of Ammon.
It didn't say some. It didn't say some Edomites, some Moabites, some Ammonites, some Philistines. When it says Edom, if they shall lay their hands upon Edom, that means they're going to get all the Edomites. All the so-called white people, the red folk.
They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
All right.
Yeah, Obadiah.
Yeah.
Obadiah 1 and 18.
You know what? Start at 7. I mean, start at 10.
Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates. And
those were the Babylonians. It tells you that in the Apocrypha. Go ahead.
And cast